Welcome back to Antigua. It's the day of the World 2020 final today, and England are facing up against the old enemy, Australia. What's the weather like, Sid?
It's absolutely beautiful. We're going to get a game today. It's warm. It's perfect weather. It's going to be great.
Okay, and England facing Australia this time around rather than India. Does that give the occasion kind of added potency, do you think?
Well, I think it does. You know, all the England fans know that. All the Australian fans know that. I think that it should be a really competitive game. And you know, we heard some stuff in the press conference yesterday, didn't we, Raf, about the rivalry between England and Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. Both captains kind of talked about the fact that it's very much they're used to kind of facing each other. They know each other well as teams because they've played each other a lot in WBBL and KSL. I think that to some extent Heather Knight brought up the Women's Ashes series last year again and talked about it being a tied series, whereas obviously Meg Lanning's perspective is that Australia won. So there was some attempt at jostling a bit maybe for the psychological advantage there, which was quite fun to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, are we expecting any team changes today from the semi-finals the other night?
Well, from England, I don't think we are we? I mean, I don't think they're going to make a change to the batting lineup. I suppose, you know, given the pitches that we've seen, there's perhaps an argument for bringing in another spinner. But the trouble is, who do you drop to do that? The only thing you could do is drop a fast bowler. You probably don't want to drop a batsman because that would be too much of a risk. But you're dropping a fast bowler, you're not going to drop Anya.
No.
You're obviously not going to drop Nat because she's primarily there as a batsman. So I don't think we'll see any changes from England. What about Australia?
Well, no, I was just going to say I think that what we will see is Heather Knight bowling herself, and she is obviously starting on a hat-trick, although there's a little bit of a dispute about what exactly a hat-trick consists of, but she seems to think she's starting on a hat-trick. So I think we will definitely see her in the attack. In terms of Australia, Meg Lanning did hint that there's a potential for them to bring in another frontline spinner. Obviously, Jess Johnson hasn't played a match this tournament, I don't think, and with... So, you know, there's a potential for her to come back in. So that could be interesting. And obviously we understand that the pitch is going to be largely similar to the one that the semi-finals were played on a couple of nights ago. So it's likely to be slow and favour spin. Although there was a hint yesterday that it might not be quite as slow as the semi-final pitch.
Yeah, Heather Knight had a chat to the groundsman as a pic of her having that chat up on Cricket Her, and she said afterwards that he'd said it might not spin quite as much, but that's not the same thing as saying that it's suddenly going to turn into a 90-mile-an-hour batsman's paradise. It's not going to do that.
No.
We're likely to see a competitive game, but whether we're likely to see a good game in terms of piles of sixes hit and a huge score, I don't think we're going to see any records broken today. I don't think we're going to see any hundreds. I think it's going to be a very tight game, and I think that it's going to be all about doing what England and Australia did the other day, which is playing to the pitch, playing sensibly, keeping your head.
And will the toss matter at all? Because what we did seem to see for the semi-finals was that it was a pitch that was perhaps quite tricky to chase on. So would we prefer England to bat first?
I still think that if you bat sensibly, then that's the key to it. And in some ways, actually, that makes the toss less important because you've got to bat sensibly whether you're batting first or second. And both the captains said yesterday they didn't feel it was really an issue. I mean, I guess that's what you'd expect them to say because they don't want the psychological undoing of having already said they wanted to do X or Y. But I think that both these teams are so experienced, it really won't be a big deal. You could almost make it random, and I think we'll still get just as good a game. And
okay, and last of all, who do we think is going to win tonight?
Well, the England fan in me says that I don't really care who beats Australia in the final, and it would be better if England did. The important thing for an England fan is that Australia lose, right, Raf? But the more sensible part of me, my head says that Australia really ought to win this match. Australia are arguably the best supported women's sports team of all time. They haven't won a global trophy in 3 or 4 years now. They really ought to win this.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I'm a little bit smug that my semi-final predictions both came true and yours both didn't. So, so my money has always been in Australia. I think that they're a very, very difficult team to beat. It's just such a long batting order, so difficult to keep them down really as a side. So, I mean, I'd love England to win. It would be fantastic, but I think that something's got to go very wrong for Australia for that to happen. So, but really exciting. We're both really excited that we're going to be at our second World Cup final in the course of 15 months tonight, and we're really looking forward to it.